Hi, good afternoon. My name's Tom Griffin, and I'm the Chief of Police here in the city of Peabody. And I'm here with, I know you by
Catherine.
Babe, but what's that?
Catherine's my real name.
Catherine's your real name?
Babe's my nickname because I was the baby of the family. I'm called by either one, so
Okay.
whichever one is fine.
And Kelly,
Kelly's my granddaughter.
Yep. And Teddy is her great grandson.
great-grandson. And we're here today to talk to you folks about a pretty interesting story about an officer here who gave his life in the line of duty by the name of Edward Scott Johansson. A lot of you folks out there may know him as Scotty Johansson. He was a policeman here in the 60s and early 70s, and unfortunately he contracted a disease and he ended up passing away. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. But can you tell me, Babe, what was he doing before he became a policeman?
He was a telephone lineman.
Yeah. Did he work full time for the PMLP? Is that what it was?
Yes, well, he was a telephone lineman, and then he took the reserve to be a policeman. And then when it came up that he could be a regular, he left the telephone company and became a regular. While he was a regular with the police department,
Yeah.
the electric light asked him if he would come work with them for a few months, and he got permission from the police department.
Yeah.
So he worked with the electric light for about 3 months, and then it was kind of funny because a lot of the guys in the electric light, even though they knew him, they
Yeah.
said, "Are you here spying on us for the police department?" Which he wasn't.
Oh, boy.
But it's
Yeah,
kind of a
that-
funny story.
That's kind of an interesting story. He must have been very good at what he was doing with the electric
He
light
did,
for
yeah.
them to have him come back and
Yeah, he was a good lineman, but
yeah.
the pay wasn't very good.
No.
So that's
So
why he
that's why he
went
was
to
on the police department?
Yep.
Now I know when he was with the police department, he was concerned a lot about the guys. From what I heard, he was a big, athletic, gentle giant, shall we
Yeah,
say?
he was.
A cop's cop, and he was one of those guys that you wanted him with you if you were ever in a scrape. But he was also like a compassionate guy.
Yes, yeah, he had a big heart.
Yeah, he cared about the guys, and you could tell because at one point he made an arrangement with the YMCA in Salem where if the officers wanted to go to the YMCA there, they could pay a $20 fee rather than the regular fee for the YMCA. So a lot of guys took advantage of it. There's actually some historical documents on it,
Yeah.
and they were able to do that because of the work that Scotty put into that. He put this letter into the chief to get forwarded to the city council to actually try and get the city to cover the
Yes.
expenses of that, which is quite remarkable for someone to be thinking that far ahead back in the early 70s and late 60s. Physical fitness with law enforcement officers is something we're still struggling with today. So, he was really way ahead of his time
He
when it comes
was.
to the physical fitness stuff. And I know he and his partner, Jack DeLay, used to work out all the time.
His
and,
friend Jack.
boxing. They did a lot of boxing
Yes.
together. Basically, how this came about to be with us here today is your granddaughter Julie works for the city, and
City Hall.
City Hall. And we were here for a meeting, and she was looking at a picture on the wall that Scotty was in,
Yep.
and I asked her about him, and she indicated that he was on the job for a short period of time and got sick. And that made me curious, and I wanted to find out what happened. And we did some checking, and I actually talked to Jack DeLay,
Yep.
who was there when this happened. And apparently, in November of 1971, there was a call for a disturbance out by Brown's Pond. And Scotty and Jack and some of the guys went out, and there was a guy there that kind of gave him a little bit of a hard time, and he ran away. And they chased him, they caught him, and the guy went into cardiac arrest. And Scotty actually took the efforts and gave him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. They brought him back. I think the gentleman lived for another 18 or 19 years.
I think so.
And
yeah.
that night they got a phone call from J.B. Thomas. That's how far back we're talking. And they were told to come up, that they probably should get some shots because the man had hepatitis. And unfortunately for Scotty, the shots didn't work. He found out probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, like 6 or 7 months later when he needed to get some surgery
He went
on his
into
legs.
he went into J.B. Thomas because he had a bad left leg. He went
Yeah.
in for a ligation, and the veins were getting so bad. Sometimes he had no feeling in his leg, So Dr. Simony said, I think it's about time you had that leg fixed. So he went in, and my phone rang about 9 o'clock, and he said, guess what? They scrubbed the operation.
Wow.
So I guess what happened was the lab caught something 20 minutes before the operation
Wow.
to cancel it.
Wow.
So they found his platelets were low,
Yeah.
and they called in a specialist, a hematologist, Dr. Baldwin. So Dr. Baldwin came in, they took tests, found out his platelets were low, and asked if he had ever been exposed to hepatitis
Yeah.
or anything like that, and he said, yes, I was.
Yeah.
So that led to several tests in the hospital, and the thing is, he went that time without any medication,
Yeah.
not knowing that he had it.
That
The
he had
doctor
it,
said
yeah.
he was so strong, he was fighting it for all
Oh,
that time.
His own body
So
was.
then
Yeah.
they put him on medication, but
By then it had taken hold.
and I'll never forget the day I went up to the hospital to visit him, and he wasn't himself, he was down, and I said,
Yeah.
what's the matter? He said, I was just informed by the doctor that I can't be a policeman anymore, I have to
Oh,
retire.
That must have been a sad day.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
it really
I know
was.
he stayed with us, I think, on sick leave for a couple of years.
He did,
And then in
yeah, in and out of the hospital,
and then in 1974 he officially retired,
yes, yeah,
and with the disability because it was
Yeah.
connected to what happened at work. And then unfortunately in a few years later he passed away.
yep, in
78.
June. 2 weeks before his daughter's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would be up and down, he'd have his good days and his bad days.
Yeah. And Jack told me they had a big party for him and everything.
They had a roast for him at the old Yankee Club.
Yeah.
And the police said, how's Scotty doing? We want to give him a roast. And because Scotty had a sense of humor
Yeah,
himself.
that's what I heard too.
So,
yeah.
I said, right now he's doing good, but you don't know. He has his ups and downs. So they said, well, we're gonna go ahead with the party. Well, wouldn't you know, that day he didn't feel good enough to go.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But they had a big crown for him.
Oh yeah.
And I came home from the Yankee to check on him to see, how he was
Yeah.
doing, and I told them I'd be back. Because they had to save all the jokes they had for him. They had
Oh,
to
I bet you
save-
they had a few too.
Oh, they had quite a few. Payback.
Yeah.
And so I said, guess what? I said, when I come back, I'll be bringing a trophy for you. He said, they got a trophy for me? And I said, yeah, it's a crown. He said, does it have jewels on it too? I said, yeah, it does. I still have it. I should have brought it.
Yeah, everybody I've talked to thought he was a great guy, and I think he would have been very successful here in the police department
Oh, yes.
as the time went on.
Yeah.
Just everyone I've talked to, and obviously he cared about people.
He
He
did.
cared about the guys, and he was one of those natural leaders, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
From listening to everybody, and it's it's
Yeah.
very unfortunate that this occurred the way it did. But and I'm sure when it happened, I know the department had a big turnout, and
Yes.
and the pallbearers, and I know the department did everything they could at the time. And now we're going to move forward and have his name put on the memorial down in Washington, and that's something I think is time due. I think it's important. I think we need to recognize his sacrifice and your family's sacrifice. From what I understand, you never even had the opportunity to meet him.
No,
you
yeah,
know,
They've
so
heard a
so-
lot.
Lauren.
They've
Yeah.
heard a lot about him. And
Yeah. No, all we ever heard was how great a guy he was, and
Yeah.
all the little things about him, his sense of humor, and just over the years, just so many stories and so many things, and it was sad growing up without him, especially knowing
Yeah.
what a great guy he was. It just
Yeah.
he sounded like he would have been the most fun and loving grandfather that we could hope for. So, it's
Yeah.
definitely sad, and I'm glad he's being recognized for.
well, I think it's
Even for
well
my
deserved.
grandmother,
Yeah,
that,
yeah, and I'm happy
after all
that
these years and everything she gave up, that
Yeah.
he's being honored the way he should be.
oh, I think it's great. And again, the family thanks you.
well, they don't have
Without
to
you-
thank me. They don't
Yeah,
thank
Without
no.
you,
me.
this wouldn't have happened.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
this.
Who knows
From
if
someone
anybody
looking
else,
at
you
a
know.
picture.
Yeah,
But
it was
without
kind of
your-
fate that it came together the way it did, and I'm glad, and I'm glad you're going to be able to come down to Washington,
Oh, yeah.
and that'll be a nice tribute, and
It
we're going
will.
to try and
Yeah, I guess it's
do some
beautiful.
things.
You
Yeah.
know, the whole
Yeah.
ceremony is
it's
very
going to be very
touching.
nice,
Yeah.
and we'll try and get some photos and film back for you folks to see back here in Peabody
Yeah.
over this and stuff. And do you have any other stories you can share about Scotty? Was he in the
Great.
military?
He was in the Coast Guard
In
for
the Coast
4
Guard?
years. He
Oh,
was
wow.
a gunner's mate.
Oh, good for him.
And and he was very good with guns.
Yeah?
He used to be down the cellar making
Making bullets,
making
huh?
bullets.
Wow.
And Walter brought that up in front
Oh,
of
yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Kelly and her father.
Yeah.
Right next to the big gym bag, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Take
gym
everybody
bag
down
and the
to
punching
work
bag.
out.
Yeah.
And
That's what Jack told me. You get down in the cellar and work out
Jack
with him.
used to come
Yeah.
over all the time. The two
Yeah.
of them would be down there, and then Scotty would let like a lot of the kids that wanted to keep in shape.
Yeah.
They'd come down cellar and they'd punch the bag
Yeah.
and
Do some training.
And-
Do some
uh,
training. Jack still does the training now. He
Yes.
does. He still has a gym.
and then it got to the point where all the kids in South Peabody could go down to the cellar and work out.
Yeah.
And then they were coming on weekends too. Well, after a while, I was upstairs hanging bang, bang, bang at the punching bag. I said, "Give me a break."
Yeah.
Put a sign on the cellar door. No more weekends.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah. You gotta have some time
Yeah.
off, right?
Yeah.
So. Well, I'm glad I had the chance to have you come in.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
nice to see you
talking
again.
to you.
Thank
And
Nice
you
to
so
meet
much
you.
for having us.
Alrighty.
We
yes,
appreciate
thank you for having
your
us.
time.
On the 28th of June, we're gonna hopefully have something here.
Oh,
I think it's that's the
it
anniversary.
is 28.
And then in September, they have a monument in behind the State House in Boston.
Boston.
Oh, that's in
And
September.
we'll put his name on that, and I'll keep you in the loop on all of that.
Oh,
so.
great.
Well, that wraps it up for today. So thank you very much for watching, and
Yes.
have a great day.
Thank you.